On New Year's Eve, Gu Huai brought his pregnant first love home. The first love wants to replace me. When she pushed me down the stairs, I pulled her down with me. Just then, Gu Huai came out of the room. Seeing this, he turned to me and said reproachfully, Yi has been a bit unreasonable during her pregnancy. Don't take it too seriously. I'll take her to the hospital first, and I'll have Wang Ma come help you up in a bit. With that, he hastily scooped up his first love and drove her to the hospital. My head slammed against the steps, and in a daze, clusters of red blossoms bloomed beneath me. As Gu Huai wished, our child is gone. I forgot about him too. I woke up in a hospital room reeking of disinfectant, staring blankly at the ceiling. I can't shake the feeling that something is missing. I feel an emptiness inside. Hurried footsteps sounded outside the room. A somewhat disheveled man burst in. His handsome face was marred by irritation, the top buttons of his shirt left carelessly undone. She sat down on the chair by my bed, a hint of worry in her eyes. I heard from Wang Ma that you just came out of the operating room. Thank goodness he only had some fetal movement and didn't miscarry, otherwise, she would have been heartbroken. He paused, his tone carrying a hint of reproach. You too, you know she's pregnant, so cut her some slack. You shouldn't be so nitpicky. With that, he glanced at my bandaged leg and asked, does it still hurt? My head was still a bit dizzy, and I blinked my eyes with effort. Before meeting, he was just a stranger. I pulled my hand back and tilted my head to ask him, you've got the wrong person, haven't you? I don't even know you. The man's hand froze, and he hesitated. I'm Gu Huai, don't you remember me? After holding my gaze for a moment, a flicker of understanding passed through Gu Huai's eyes. He stood up, pulled me into his arms, and coaxed me softly. I know. Baby is mad at hubby, right? I wanted to bring you to the hospital first, but he is pregnant after all, and pregnant women come first, right? The minty smell on him made me feel a bit nauseous. Frowning, I pushed him away and racked my brain for the name Gu Huai. After a long moment, I finally matched a name to a face. I do know someone named Gu Huai. Isn't he my boyfriend Jiyu's best buddy? We even had a meal together last month. So I lifted my pale little face and looked at Gu Huai with anticipation. They told me I had a miscarriage. Can you call my boyfriend for me too? Gu Huai's expression shifted repeatedly. Slowly, his eyes began to redden. That proud, handsome face now wore an expression so sorrowful it was heartbreaking, exactly as if it were his own child. I frowned, finding him a bit odd. Gu Huai gently cupped my face, his voice soft and softer, as if afraid of breaking me into pieces. Baby, are you serious? You're pregnant with my child. I'm sorry. I didn't know you were pregnant. Gu Huai's eyes were filled with regret, and his voice was hoarse. It seems as if they are truly enduring immense grief. He reached out his arms to hug me. I shrank back. She slapped his hand with a sharp smack, her voice turning several degrees colder. Mr. Gu, please show some respect. If my boyfriend heard me say that, he might get the wrong idea. If you won't make the call for me, at least you can lend me your phone, right? Gu Huai frowned, his bloodshot eyes making him look somewhat intimidating, but he still tried to soften his voice as he said to me, baby, what are you talking about? I'm your husband. If you don't like Jiang Yi, I'll have her move out tomorrow. We can have another child. Don't scare me like that, okay? You've been playing the husband act for way too long, haven't you? If I didn't know that Gu Huai had a long-time crush he'd been pining over, I would actually start to think he's so into me that he's daydreaming about it. I glanced sideways and noticed a landline phone on the cabinet next to me, so, despite the pain in my leg, I lunged forward and hugged him. Her picking up the phone, she cast a wary glance at Gu Huai, who looked panicked and was about to approach. Don't come any closer. If you keep talking nonsense, I'll call the police. A flicker of helplessness crossed Gu Huai's face as he stopped in his tracks. All right, I'll stay back. Just don't hurt yourself. From the tone, it sounds like coaxing a child. A chill of disgust ran through me, and I shot Gu Huai another glare. Fumbling from memory, I clumsily dialed Jiyu's number, probably because it was a landline. The person on the other end didn't answer the first time. The call went through quickly on the second try. I smiled sweetly and cooed at him. Hey, Jiyu's, I tripped and fell. Can you come pick me up at the hospital? The person opposite remained silent for a long time. 3. I was a bit flustered and wanted to say a few more words, but the landline was snatched away by the person next to me. Gu Huai scowled and hung up the phone. I stood up to grab it, but ended up straining the injury on my leg. She yelled angrily at Gu Huai, are you crazy? Why did you snatch my phone? Gu Huai placed the landline phone far out of my reach, his expression turning somewhat cold. We lost our child, and the first thing you thought of was contacting your ex-boyfriend, Qin Xiangli. You were wonderful, he treated you like that. And you're still thinking about him, have you no self? Respect. What did Jesus do to me? He is so kind and gentle to me, it's just that I forgot his birthday the day before yesterday, and that's why he got mad at me. After I gave him the cake yesterday, he stopped being mad, got scolded for no reason. My eyes, which hadn't even teared up when I first heard the news of the miscarriage, suddenly felt swollen and sore. I immediately forgot about propriety and started pounding my fists against Gu Huai. Are you out of your mind? Not only do you say such weird things to me for no reason, but you also spread rumors about GUs. If you're sick, go get treated, don't come here and ruin things for us. Okay, I was angry, so I struck the hammer with considerable force. A slap landed on Gu Huai's face, instantly leaving a red mark, but his eyes reddened as he pulled me into a tight embrace. It's all my fault. If you want to hit me, baby, go ahead, just don't go after GUs. Okay, the child Jiang Huai is carrying isn't mine either. She's divorced, and I only agreed to take care of her just to make you angry. It's your own fault for getting drunk the night before last and shouting GU's name at me. Baby, I'm just mad that after all these years, you still can't get over him. For seeing that he spoke the truth, I stood there, dumbfounded, struggling to untangle the mess in my mind. I went to the market yesterday afternoon to buy groceries, and in the evening, I made it up to GU's with a cake and a candle at dinner, and then, how did I fall again? I shook my head, and a sharp pain shot through my temples. Am I really suffering from amnesia? GUs and I, are we really broken up? How is that possible? GUs and I have known each other for 10 years and been in love for 7. Yesterday, when he cut the cake, he made a wish that we would always be together. Gu Huai must be talking nonsense. My heart felt bitter as I glared at Gu Huai. Don't talk nonsense. How could GUs and I ever break up? Gu Huai looked at me with a strange expression for a long moment, still somewhat incredulous. You really don't remember me? My trembling hands pushed him away. Just pretend I forgot. Can you please leave now? GUs will be here any minute. It won't look good if he sees us like this. Gu Huai's eyes were rimmed with red as he sat down on the small stool in a huff. He actually looked a bit childish. I'm your husband, so I'm staying right here with you. I'm not leaving, and don't even think about it. GUs isn't coming. He said it with absolute certainty, but that only stoked the anger inside me. I grabbed a pillow from the hospital bed and hurled it at him with all my might. If he doesn't want to leave, then fine, but what does he mean by cursing that GUs won't come? GUs loves me so much, how could he not come? Gu Huai's hair was disheveled from being hit, yet he didn't get angry. She placed the pillow back at the head of the bed and sat down on the stool again. Even Voldemort has more shame than him. I was about to ring the bell to call a nurse to kick him out, when a doctor walked in. It seems the patient next door was brought in by Gu Huai and is now crying and making a fuss, demanding that Gu Huai come check on them. I vaguely heard that her name might be Jiang Yi, and she was also pregnant. Oh, that so-called first love of Gu Huai, she's already got a kid, yet she still keeps pestering me. He's not a real man. I rolled my eyes discreetly. Gu Huai hesitated for a moment, then said to me, Jiang Yi is, after all, someone I brought along. Let me go check on her first, and I'll be right back to keep you company. I couldn't wait to send Gu Huai away. I wish he would never show up in front of me again. Gu Huai kept looking back every few steps as he followed the doctor out. After he left, I picked up the landline and couldn't wait to call GUs again. Several calls in a row all went straight to voicemail saying the other party's phone was off. He's probably driving and can't answer the phone. I comforted myself, lay back down on the hospital bed, and slowly counted the ticks of the clock by my bedside, but waited until the sun had set. Geez, still hasn't shown up. 5. It's a bit cold at night. I sat stubbornly on the bed in my thin hospital gown, waiting. Just as I was about to drift off to sleep, a man in a black racing suit walked in. I'm squinting, feeling drowsy. The man pounded heavily on the table. I woke up with a start. The man before me had sharply defined features, deep and profound eyes, with a red mole adorning the corner of his right eye. There was still a faint smell of tobacco on him. It's GUs, no doubt about it, but I distinctly remember that he couldn't race cars and hated smoking the most. I stared at him blankly. GUs frowned as he scrutinized me. His gaze swept over my bandaged leg, then lingered on my pale face, and he smiled. Qin Xiangli, is this how you end up living without me? I just thought he was still mad about what happened the day before, so I threw myself into his arms and acted coy, like a little kitten. See, so please don't leave me, okay? Just look at me. I pointed at my leg, wanting to complain to Ji-Yoos, but I really couldn't remember how I fell. My head hurt from thinking, so I simply buried my face in Ji-Yoos' arms. Anyway, don't ever leave me again. His racing suit was cold, and his body was stiff, yet my heart was racing. I listened quietly to his heartbeat. Feeling an inexplicable sense of peace, she whispered, Ji-Yoos, I'm pregnant, but I accidentally fell and lost the baby. I sniffled, but we're still young, there'll definitely be more. Ji-Yoos' casual expression instantly hardened as he frowned. You're pregnant, I nodded emphatically. I think it must have been that time last month. After saying that, I wished I could bury my face in the ground. That day was our first time. It was pouring rain, and we were both drunk. Ji-Yoos' expression suddenly turned very strange. After a long moment, he tightly gripped my hand that was wrapped around his. Ji-Yoos' hand was broad and dry, completely enveloping mine. Before I could even feel happy, he spoke in a dry, raspy voice. Be good, stop teasing me. I might take it seriously, since you chose Gu Huai. Make the best of it with him. The next second, he forcibly pried my hand open. 6. I stood there dumbfounded, a deep sense of grievance welling up inside me. Why does even Ji-Yoos say that I should make things work with Gu Huai? Did I really forget something? Ji-Yoos left me behind. I had just shed a few tears when he stormed back in a rage. I've never seen Ji-Yoos this angry before until I saw Gu Huai behind him, panic written all over his face. I just realized he probably ran into Gu Huai accompanying the pregnant Jiang Yi after going out. Ji-Yoos pinched my chin, studying my expression. He watched my bewildered expression for a moment, then smiled. Ji-Yoos' voice was so gentle that even a hint of emotion in it could drown you, but there's always a hint of roguishness in his smile. He reached out his hand to me. Looks like it's been completely forgotten. Are you coming with me or not? My eyes lit up as I slipped my hand into his. Wherever you go, I go. Ali, Gu Huai, with red-rimmed eyes, cut me off, gripping my other hand tightly, squeezing so hard it felt like it might snap. Are you going to abandon me? I averted my gaze past Gu Huai. Behind him, Jiang Yi cradled her slightly swollen belly, glaring at me with pure resentment. It seems like I'm the one who came between them, so I pried Gu Huai's fingers open one by one. Even though I have no memory of being with him, I still feel inexplicably wronged. With a sniffle, if you really love me that much, why did you leave me here alone for so long just now? I waited from dusk till nightfall, as the clock's hand swept a full sixth of its circle, yet I remained the only one there. In the meantime, I calmed down and thought about a lot of things. I think, if I were truly Gu Huai's wife right now, and suddenly forgot him, he must be very sad. But if he had stayed with me a little longer, maybe I would have remembered. The truth was that Gu Huai had been in the next room all along, keeping Jiang Yi company. He didn't even come over to take a look at me. Gu Huai stood frozen in place, his lips trembling as he muttered, his eyes bloodshot. In the end, nothing was said. I gently pulled away from him. Reaching out her hand, she acted coy toward Ji-Yoos and said, "Give me a hug." The man had just pulled out his cigarette case, his pitch-black eyes gleaming with a cold edge. Seeing me like this, he curled his lips slightly, tucked the cigarette pack back into his pocket, and came over to hold me. He was much more muscular than I remembered, his solid build exuding a profound sense of security. The moment he pulled me fully into his embrace, he tightened his arms and let out a soft sigh. "You've lost weight." I wrapped my arms tightly around his waist, suddenly feeling like crying. 7. My 10 years with Ji-Yoos were not earth-shattering, but they have only grown more meaningful with time. Throughout high school, I was always first, and he was second. Ji-Yoos came from an exceptional family and possessed strikingly handsome features. I'm often swarmed by both guys and girls as soon as class ends. They all used asking questions as an excuse to strike up a conversation with him. And Ji-Yoos is gentle by nature and incapable of saying harsh words. Later, he came up with a lousy idea. As soon as class ended, they came to me with the test paper to ask questions. I have asthma, and I'm the teacher's pet. After faking a few outbursts, no one dared to crowd around anymore. After that, Ji-Yoos became my little sidekick. Gradually, everyone started seeing us as a couple. His crazy fans are all gossiping about me behind my back. They say Ji-Yoos is just playing around with me and will get bored soon, but they were wrong. I was never the one being played. I saw through Ji-Yoos' intentions the first time he came to me with a question. In the dark corner of the stairwell, I cornered him. "If you want my help, you'll have to be my dog." Ji-Yoos finally agreed, his face flushed red, because every time he refused, I would kiss him. I've bitten my lip until it bled. I also think we won't last long. After all, Ji-Yoos' parents are both professors at top-tier universities, making him a true child of fortune. I, on the other hand, Grew up in an orphanage and was a poor wretch who could only afford to study thanks to tuition waivers and scholarships. As someone as proud as I am, there's no way I'd just sit around waiting to be dumped, so right after high school graduation, I dumped him and G has spent the entire summer break groveling like a dog for 3 months just to win me back. It was only then that I was finally convinced. G has asked me for help back then, not because he was annoyed by being surrounded by his suitors willing to listen to me, not afraid of being kissed too much by me. After all, transferring schools was the easiest thing in the world for Gius, so him coming to me really is where the heart leads. 8. My memory is frozen in that happiest year with Gius. It was the 7th year of our relationship, and the jewelry company we founded together had just gone public. We're getting married in less than 10 days. I rested my head against Gius' chest, feeling the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. I couldn't help but ask, did I really lose my memory? So why did we break up in the first place? My heart skipped a beat. He lowered his head to meet my gaze, his dark eyes looking suppressed and sorrowful. After a long pause, he spoke in a hoarse voice. Since you've forgotten it all, don't bring it up again. That memory seems far from pleasant. A faint ache tugged at my heart as I tentatively took his hand. Can we start over? Time seemed to stand still in that moment. My heart was racing like crazy, and my palms were slightly sweaty, waiting for his answer. Gius pressed his thin lips into a straight line. The way he looked at me was no different from what I remembered, so gentle it could drown you, but the words he spoke sent a chill down my spine. I'm getting married soon, Qin Xiangli, we can't go back. 9. Gius opened a new VIP ward with a combination lock on the top floor. After settling me into the hospital bed, they began peeling an apple for me. I rarely cry, but today, my eyes stung again and again, my eyes still red from crying. I glanced at Gius' hand, holding the fruit knife. There was a long scar on it, running from the web of his thumb all the way to his wrist. It looked like it was years old. In my memory, that scar wasn't there. I couldn't help but ask, Gius, how long has it been since we broke up? The hand holding the apple paused, and the sharp blade tip pierced the skin due to inertia. Bright red blood spread across the blade. I anxiously wanted to take his hand and look at it. Gius dodged, evading the move. He pressed a tissue against the wound and said flatly, 3 years, your memory right now should be stuck at the week before we broke up, so we didn't even get to finish the engagement, did we? I sniffled. So, was it me who broke up with them? Gius lifted his head slightly, glanced at me, and said nothing. As he moved, the necklace that had been caught in his coat slipped out. A silver ring hangs from a black chain. The design above features a ylang flower, with a pink diamond set into its center. Represents a pure and spotless love. This is my first design project after graduation. They're a pair. The one I have is set with a blue diamond. I looked at my hands, smooth, slender fingers, completely bare. She reached for her neck again, and sure enough, the necklace was there. When he pulled it out, the pendant turned out to be a skull. Just now, when we were struggling, I saw that Gu Huai also had the same one on his neck. Gius had just finished peeling the apple and handed it to me, right as I happened to see the whole thing. His eyes darkened as he placed the apple on the table. I smirked, took off the necklace, and tossed it into the trash. 10. Gius said he would never break up with me, but I love Gius so much too. How could I possibly break up with him in a week when I love him so much? She even married Gu Huai, whom she had only met once, and had a child with him. I can't figure it out. And Gius doesn't want to bring it up again either. I cradled my throbbing head, feeling tears welling up again. Gius shot me a glance, his long brows furrowing. If you can't remember, don't force it. Forgetting isn't always a bad thing. I never make things hard for myself. For example, when I was little, I was the youngest child in the orphanage. Other kids always snatch away my snacks and toys, and the adults all say I'm a pushover, but I never try to snatch it, because I know I'd lose and probably get beaten up anyway. Just a little more patience, and I'll be grown up. For example, back in high school, I forced Gius to be my boyfriend. If he refuses, I'll just kiss him. I don't care what he thinks, but this time, I refuse to let it end like this. The memory that caused Gius such pain, how could I just forget it like that? 11. Gius stayed for a while before being called away by a call from the company. The next day, I quietly asked the doctor how I could regain my memory. The doctor told me that my memory loss is selective. In other words, the amnesia was caused by a blow to the head, but more than that. It's because I myself don't want to remember. The chances of a full recovery are very low unless someone is willing to share these memories with me, or perhaps triggered by people and events from back then. Jeez is definitely not someone I can count on. He seems to have no desire at all for me to regain my memories. Just as I was weighing whether to go find Gu Huai, a young and beautiful woman came into my hospital room. The woman introduced herself as Dong Yuaning, sent by Jeez to look after me. She was strikingly beautiful, dressed in designer labels, yet her expression was gentle. He looks familiar, but I just can't place who he is until I saw her phone's wallpaper. G is leaned against a sleek black sports car with his hands in his pockets, a gold medal hanging around his neck, yet his gaze was fixed on a distant spot. I think he was looking at his fiancée, that is. The person who took this photo. 12. Dong Yuaning called a nurse to change my 4 drip when she saw the basket of apples on the table, her face inexplicably flushed. These were all bought by Yuz, right? I really like apples, so he always makes a habit of buying them, but how can a sick person survive on just apples? What does Miss Chin like to eat? I'll send someone to buy it now. I shook my head. Thanks, but no thanks, I'll just have an apple. When I was a child, the only fruit we had at the orphanage was apples, and they were always more sour than sweet. Only as an adult did I realize that even apples can be sweet enough to warm your heart. After that, I lost my taste for other fruits. Dong Yuaning's face stiffened for a moment, but then she softened into a gentle smile. I didn't expect Miss Chin to share the same hobby as me. Let me peel an apple for you. Seeing that she had already picked up the apple, I felt too embarrassed to refuse, so I nodded gently and said, "Thank you." As Dong Yuaning peeled the apple, her right wrist emerged from beneath the coat sleeve. A jade green bracelet slipped out. The texture is excellent, clearly worth a fortune. At first glance, I blankly touched my own wrist. This jade bracelet was a gift from G's mother when we first met. Uncle G and Aunt G, like G Yuz, are both extremely gentle and refined people. They did not look down on my background and gave me the heirloom bracelet meant for the daughter-in-law. They also told me that from now on, they would be my mom and dad. Why is it now in Dong Yuaning's hands? Could it be that I returned the bracelet after breaking up with G Yuz? Then, Mother G gave it to Dong Yuaning. It feels like after waking up from a nap, everything I once hoped for has slipped out of reach. My heart ached, but I held back the tears, curved my eyes into a smile, and said sincerely, "This bracelet was a gift from Aunt G, wasn't it? She must think highly of you." Hearing this, Dong Yuaning paused her peeling, looking at me with a strange expression. Yuz's parents died in a car accident 3 years ago. This bracelet was a gift from him. 13. A dull ache throbbed at my temples, and my face instantly turned pale. Tears streamed down her cheeks like broken pearls, and with trembling lips, she asked, "What did you say?" "The passing of your uncle and aunt most likely occurred after we broke up." Was I by G's side back then? If he were alone, how desperate he would be. I can't stop picturing how heartbroken G's must have looked, and I just want to go back in time and slap myself for breaking up with him. What exactly happened back then that made me so determined to leave him? Dong Yuaning continued. He was driving when he got the news, already in a bad mood, and lost control in an instant, causing a car accident. The scar on the web of his thumb was left from that time. The doctor said it would never fade away. The company had just gone public when one of the co-founders suddenly pulled out their investment and left, and she was still the lead designer. At that time, Yuz was completely devastated. "Hey, Miss Chin, are you okay?" Dong Yuaning looked in shock at the tiger's mouth of my left hand, which I had already clawed until it was dripping with blood. I tucked my hands into the sleeves of the hospital gown. Pale-faced, she shook her head and forced a faint smile at her. "I'm fine, go ahead." Dong Yuaning nodded. Those were such tough days, but I'm glad he made it through. Slowly, a shy smile crept across her face, with a hint of pride. "Like a little ragdoll cat, I've always been by Yuz's side. He always says he's lucky to have me. Of course I have to stay by his side when he's going through such a tough time. I love him that much." I stared blankly at her. After she finished speaking, she smiled weakly. "You are all wonderful people, and I'm sure you'll find happiness. The happiness that was once meant to be mine now belongs to someone else. But I can't blame anyone. I'm not worthy, and Dong Yuaning, she is truly worth it." Dong Yuaning lifted her chin with a hint of pride. "That's right, we're going to be happy, Miss Chin. I hope you find happiness too." 14. After seeing Dong Yuaning off, the pain I had forcibly suppressed surged through my nerves like floodwaters bursting through a sluice gate. Lying in the hospital bed, even breathing hurt, and I drifted off to sleep amidst waves of dizziness. In a daze, I was having a terrifying nightmare. In my dream, I discovered that G Yuz was cheating on me just a week before our engagement. The target is G Yuz's secretary. A woman named Dong Yuaning. I was fully immersed in the first design draft after the company went public, and I couldn't afford to have my inspiration interrupted. Dong Yuaning accompanied Ji to many of the evening events. At first, Gu Huai sent me many intimate photos of Ji and Dong Yuaning. In the photo, Ji had his arm around Dong Yuaning's bare waist beneath her gown, raising a glass with his right hand while chatting with someone, but that was also a safe distance at the party, so I didn't pay much attention to it until I flipped to the last one. Ji was kissing Dong Yuaning, his arm wrapped around her waist. The man has his back to the photographer, so his face is not visible, but the clothes and figure were very similar to Ji's. The woman, with a seductive look, cast a provocative glance at the camera. I still didn't believe it. Finally, I took the photo home, intending to confront Ji and get the truth, but accidentally caught a glimpse of his phone message. It's from someone saved as secretary. I'm on my period and my stomach really hurts. Can you come keep me company? What a shame. I didn't get pregnant last time. When are you finally going to break up with her? Didn't you say you've known her for 10 years and got bored ages ago? I was holding my phone, trembling with rage all over, but I still want to wait for Ji to come out of the shower and hear it from him directly. But Gu Huai just happened to send a message. They said that Gu's had brought in a world-class designer who was currently reviewing my design draft and was about to leave soon. So I needed to get over there as quickly as possible. Gu Huai is the only son of the Gu Group's boss, and the Gu Group was our company's first partner. Under no circumstances can we afford to offend them. After a moment of hesitation, I decided to go to the company first. Before leaving, I took off the jade bracelet from my wrist and placed it on the living room table. She planned to wait until Ji is finished explaining before deciding whether to bring it along. Who would have thought that after that departure, Ji and I would never see each other again. 15. I suddenly woke up from my dream, my face ice cold, even the pillowcase was soaked through. It took me a long moment to realize that this was not a dream. The memories I discarded. After arriving at the office, it was already late by the time I finished discussing with the designer, since everyone had been drinking. Gu Huai suggested staying at the hotel for the night. I usually hold my liquor well and know my limits, but that day I got drunk unusually fast. My whole body is burning up, like I've got a raging fever. I followed the room number Gu Huai gave me to the room, and after that, my memory went blank. When I woke up, my whole body ached, and I was lying in Gu Huai's arms, his body covered in scratch marks. According to Gu Huai, I got drunk yesterday, crying and making a scene, grabbing him and refusing to let him leave. At that moment, my world came crashing down. I locked myself in my hotel room for an entire day. The suspicion of Ji's infidelity and the breakdown from that chaotic night with Gu Huai kept tearing at my nerves. Ji's didn't contact me for the entire day, so I sent him a breakup message, but I didn't block his number. I figured that if Ji's was innocent, he would definitely call me to explain or ask what happened, but I waited a full 3 days, and Ji's didn't even send a single greeting. On the contrary, Gu Huai showed me care and concern every single day, reassure me that everyone was drunk that night and it wasn't my fault. My heart gradually turned astray. After waiting another day, I completely blocked Ji's. With Gu Huai's help, he withdrew his investment from the company and took the design drafts, completely vanished from Ji's world. Looking back, my uncle and aunt must have just passed away at that time. Ji's was also in a car accident and is now in a coma at the hospital. We missed each other for 3 years. Just like that, I haven't touched a drop of alcohol in 3 years. Only that day, my latest design won a top national award, and Gu Huai coaxed me into having a little bit of alcohol. After getting drunk, I ended up calling out Ji's name, because the design was inspired by my first meeting with Ji's. 16. After that one night stand with Gu Huai, I was in a terrible mood, always believing it was truly my own drunken mistake. Looking back again, I sensed something was off. I only had 2 glasses of red wine that day. My tolerance isn't that bad at all. I leaned against the headboard, staring blankly out the window as the sun rose and set. At dusk, the nurse taking care of me walked in with a troubled look on her face. Miss Chin, a man named Mr. Gu Huai claims to be your husband and has been insisting on seeing you. We've been holding him off, but Mr. G hasn't shown up for days now, and we can't stop him anymore. What do you think we should do? I forced a faint smile and said, "Thank you for your trouble, let him in." The nurse immediately let out a relieved smile. "Okay, I'm really sorry." Gu Huai walked in with red-rimmed eyes, looking disheveled, his sweater all wrinkled and messy. Playing innocent whenever trouble arises is his usual trick. I watched him approach with a cold expression, but when he tried to take my hand, I slapped him hard across the face. Gu Huai was stunned for a moment, then anger flashed across his face. "You hit me?" After not eating all day, even a single slap took a lot out of me. I lay back down on the bed and said with difficulty, "Was our first time, did you drug me?" A flicker of panic crossed Gu Huai's face. "How could that be? You know." I cut him off. "Are you going to lie to me again? Gu Huai, you killed our child. No matter what, we can never go back. Regardless, the 3 years of companionship were real. It's not that I have no feelings for Gu Huai, but I refuse to believe that the person I face every day could be so unscrupulous." I stared at him intently. Perhaps the child had struck a nerve. As Gu Huai's tall frame swayed slightly, he stared at me. Suddenly, he let out a malicious laugh. "So what if I did? Ollie, you clearly enjoyed it that night too." 17. A wave of nausea churned inside me as I fought back the urge to vomit and asked, "Ji is cheating. Was that also a lie you and Dong Yuaning cooked up to fool me, wasn't it? The person in the photo is not Ji is at all." The message from Dong Yuaning was also deliberately shown to me by you. My tone is very certain. Gu Huai propped himself up on the bed, leaning over me, tracing the contours of my brows and eyes with his gaze. He stopped pretending, his tone envious and twisted. "That's right, I deliberately found someone with a similar build to Ji's to take that kissing photo. With the previous photos setting the stage, it was easy for you to jump to conclusions." The message from Dong Yuaning was sent at a time I deliberately calculated, and I made her send it, then pretended it was a mistake and retracted it. "Ji is still completely in the dark about it. Who told you to love him so much, Ollie? Do you know that after Ji is woke up from the car accident and saw your breakup message, he looked so dejected, tsk, like a drowned rat. Poor thing, he still thinks you abandoned him because uncle and auntie died." I swallowed the bitterness in my heart and looked at him with disgust. "I never provoked you. The first time we met was over a business dinner. And Ji was there too." Later, though we met a few more times, our friendship never really deepened, even though every time, the way he looked at me was a bit strange. Gu Huai raised his hand to cover my eyes and leaned in to kiss me. I turned my head away as hard as I could, and a minty kiss landed on my jaw. I felt a sickening sensation, as if ants were crawling all over my body. Gu Huai smiled instead. "Ollie, do you believe in love at first sight? Before I met you, I was always chasing after Jiangyi, but after I met you, I forgot who Jiangyi even was. My heart and mind are filled with nothing but you only have eyes for that Ji." I shot him a look of disgust. "Being loved at first sight by someone like you makes me sick." Having gotten everything I wanted, I mustered all my strength to edge toward the bedside and press the call button. Several nurses arrived quickly, and Gu Huai didn't resist. Before he left, he looked at me with that sickeningly affectionate gaze and said, "Ollie, you've been apart from Ji for 3 years. Are you so sure he still likes you? Besides, Ji has already promised Dong Yuaning that he would marry her, and you've carried my child before. I think he should know very well who to choose. Be good. I'll wait for you to come back to me once you've calmed down." I mustered all my strength and slapped him hard across the face, cursing, "You psycho, you pathetic jerk." Gu Huai wiped the blood trickling from the corner of his mouth and smiled like a wolf that had gotten its prey. I glared fiercely at his retreating back, until I finally ran out of strength and drifted into unconsciousness. 18. I was packing up when Ji arrived, limping around the ward, looking quite pathetic. A wave of bitterness washed over me the moment I saw him. I couldn't help but sit down, lowering my head. "Why are you here?" Ji frowned and lifted me onto his lap. He pulled up my pant leg, saw the bandage inside seeping with blood, and his voice carried a hint of anger. "You're not fully recovered yet. Why are you moving around?" I felt a bit awkward and wanted to get down from his arms, but I couldn't break free. I don't know why, but I just feel that Ji is different today compared to the past few days. He had been worried about me before, but he held back. She also clearly said there was no possibility between us, but today, he was domineering and angry. Even crossing the line, it's like, she knows something. My legs are almost bruised from pinching, thinking of Dong Yuaning. My eyes stung, and I reached out to push Ji's. "Don't do this, you can't betray Miss Dong." Ji's expression turned strange. "Dong Yuaning, she was here. What did she say to you?" I was stunned by his question. "Didn't you ask her to take care of me? Are you two about to get married?" By the end, my voice was already choked with emotion. It took great effort to swallow the uncontrollable sob back down. "Ever since I found out that Dong Yuaning and Gu Huai conspired together to set me and Ji is up. My feelings for her are just strange, want to hate, but can't bring myself to. After all, his parents passed away, the company was in crisis, his girlfriend left him, and he went through a car accident. As each heavy blow struck Ji-Yu's spirit and body, it was Dong Yuaning who stood by him through his lowest moments, and I, without meaning to, pushed Ji-Yu's even deeper into the abyss. A flicker of irritation crossed Ji-Yu's brow as he reached into his pocket for his cigarette pack. He glanced at me, my eyes rimmed red, but in the end, he didn't take out the cigarette. I never asked her to come, and I won't marry her again. I haven't come to see you these past few days because I've been looking into matters from the past. 19. I blinked my reddened eyes, an indescribable unease welling up inside me. Are you going to look into what happened 3 years ago? Ji-Yu's nodded and smoothed my disheveled hair. I was still debating whether to tell you, but this morning a nurse at the hospital told me you had a fight with Gu Huai yesterday, and I knew right away that you already knew. My tears flowed even harder, but I dared not blink, my heart suspended in midair, unwilling to miss a single expression on Ji-Yu's face. His face showed exhaustion, but his eyes were full of concern. He cupped my face in his hands, using his slightly rough fingertips to gently wipe away my tears, bit by bit. There, don't cry. I used to blame you, which is why I refused to look into the truth behind your departure. The moment I did, I regretted it. It's all my fault for not being brave enough to find out the truth and come to you sooner. Sweetheart, it's not your fault. The string that had been taut in my mind finally snapped in that moment, staring blankly at him, murmuring, Ji-Yus, why are you so gentle? Ji-Yus tidied my stray strands of hair, his expression serious. We've walked together for 10 years, too. Others, it may seem like just time, but to us, it's a series of unforgettable moments etched deep in our hearts. 3 years apart is nothing at all. No matter how gentle I am with you, it's never too much. 20. G.'s took me home. It's still the same house we rented 3 years ago, and now he's bought it, but I have never once returned. He has been here alone for 3 years. The home's decor hadn't changed much, except that many items once left to gather dust in cabinets were now on display. Back in our freshman year of high school when we first met, I used part of my scholarship to buy him a birthday gift, a pink carousel. On Valentine's Day during my freshman year, I gave him a little plush puppy and told him that when we got married, we'd get a real one. And the annual birthday gifts. Finally, my hand came to rest on an exquisite box, my heart pounding. I opened it. Sure enough, there lay the silver ring set with a blue diamond and adorned with ylang-ylang flowers, and Auntie G's jade bracelet. I picked up the bracelet and asked Ji-Yus in surprise, didn't you give this to Dong Yuaning? Ji-Yus walked over, frowning. She asked for it, but I didn't give it to her. What's the matter? Me? Last time she came to the hospital, she even showed it to me. It's probably fake, Ji-Yus said nonchalantly, slipping the bracelet back onto my wrist. I inexplicably started feeling uneasy again. But she's the one who's been with you through these 3 years of hardship. Ji-Yus shot me a sidelong glance. Besides her, the ones who stood by me through it all were my brothers at the company. Should I marry them all just to repay their kindness? Once the company was on the right track, I gave them all their due benefits, including Dong Yuaning. My face flushed. She also said that you told her you were glad she was around, Ji-Yus. That was something I said to everyone at the celebration banquet after the company started turning a profit. My face flushed with embarrassment. Ji-Yus braced his hands against the bookshelf, caging me in any other questions. I shook my head honestly. He scooped me up and carried me toward the room. I instinctively struggled. What are you doing? Ji-Yus slapped me on the butt. I'm putting medicine on you. What are you thinking? I can't move anymore. 21. After leaving Ji-Yus, I started my own independent design studio. It hasn't been merged back and still remains my own business. A lot has happened during the month I took off. One is that Mr. Gu, the head of the Gu group, passed away suddenly from a heart attack, and Gu Huai took over, but he was used to being a playboy, so he handed over all his business to a few directors and went to Ji-Yu's company every day to demand his wife back. The second was that Ji-Yu's secretary, Dong Yuaning, had been transferred abroad after I had rested. I've been gathering evidence of the Gu family's tax evasion with Ji-Yus since old Mr. Gu passed away. The Gu corporation has been on the verge of collapse, and the board members have all lost heart. A year later, Gu Huai was successfully sent to prison. Old Mr. Gu's efforts paid off. His son got a 10-year sentence with Ji-Yu's help. I got the divorce certificate with Gu Huai. Just before we went in, Gu Huai said he wanted to talk to me alone. Jeez was worried, but after I reassured him, I still agreed. Gu Huai no longer had the spirited and confident look of the past. His clothes were disheveled, and he appeared utterly dejected. A malicious grin still lingered on his lips. Qin Xiangli, do you really think Ji still loves you? You've been with me for 3 years, you're already tainted. Do you honestly believe he doesn't care? You abandoned him when he was at his weakest. Once he's done taking revenge on me, you're next. I stared at him coldly. Are you done? Gu Huai lifted his chin, looking at me as if he were watching a good show. Your turn. I'm done. I shoved a wedding invitation into his mouth, then slapped him right across that disgusting face. The Qing dynasty fell years ago. Are you still not ready to cut off that queue? After I finished speaking, I slapped him again. What do you mean I've been with you for 3 years? You're nothing but a useless rich brat who only knows how to eat, drink, and have fun. Meanwhile, I have my own design studio. I'm a nationally recognized designer, and I make tens of millions a year on my own. Who the hell has been with who?